Hello, it's your girl, Nicole Ryan with Lana Solutions, your debt diva. How is everyone today? I'm hoping fine. We've been having some lovely weather here in Omaha, Nebraska, and then we get hit with snow. So I'm born and raised Omaha, Nebraska, if you didn't know that. So I'm familiar with the slap you in the face weather, if you will. If you're just joining, Lana Solutions is a debt relief company here in Omaha, Nebraska. We've partnered up with a lot of nonprofits here where we are able to offer free advice at different workshops like Grow Nebraska. That's for small businesses. But if you come in there, and if I'm in there, it's Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. There's a bunch of us in there that give a lot of good free advice for small businesses. There's another Chariots for Hopes is a nonprofit I work with, and they also have workshops from time to time, and they help out with any type of transportation barrier. So if that's you or a loved one who's having issues having a car or getting your car fixed, look into Chariots for Hope, and even if they can't help, they can probably point you to someone who may be able to assist you, like a trusted mechanic. We all need one of those from time to time. I say all that because I want you guys to understand that Debt Diva is a show to help eliminate debt, the fears, the frustrations around it, and so much more. I always tell my viewers one of the biggest things around finances is just getting the wisdom and knowledge to make better decisions. So rather that be not using credit cards as much, just educating yourself on different interest rates, stopping all the spending, giving yourself an opportunity to really sit down and do those expense trackers I've talked about on the show, aka budget. You start to write down all those expenses versus your income so you can see, do I really have a surplus, or am I really living with more month than money? A deficit, you guys. So today's show, I wanted to talk to you about student loans. Student loans have been in the news lately because of a quote-unquote privacy breach with our student loans with the Trump administration, whether that be true or false. When it's in the news, it's always something good to look into. Now on Debt Diva, I'm more concerned with the student loan debt versus everything that's out there with regards to student loans. But I can't talk about student loans and not touch on it a little bit. So as of in 2024, they have our student loans at $1.77 trillion. They also show that the outstanding federal student loan balance is $1.69 trillion. So about 42.7 million student borrowers have federal loan debt. So when Elon Musk and his team went in to view these student loans, there is a FERPA law that you can look into and read more about it so you understand. And also, if you choose to file a complaint, just know that right now all of this is up in the air. No one really knows if student loans are being canceled because of it. Make sure you're going to the correct website. I always recommend, if it doesn't have that .gov, then you might want to reconsider who you're getting that information from. So if you want to go to studentaid.gov, they also can send you over where if you have student loans and don't already have your account set up, look into that, because the SAVE plan and every other income-driven repayment plan has been either halted or canceled or stopped. There's just a lot going on, so please be in contact with your servicers. I know here in Nebraska, I see a lot of servicers under, a lot of students under the servicer I believe it's Molina, and the other one is Nelnet, and I believe there is Aviant is a third one. So just make sure you know, number one, who is your servicer, right? Because that's who you want to get in contact with concerning your student loans. Now, as a finance advocate for Lana Solutions, the cases that I normally deal with student loans is, hey, how can I get this forgiven? Or, hey, what's the best way to pay this back? And the first question I ask, who has your student loan or loans? And a lot of times they don't know. They don't have a clue who has it. So the first thing we have to do, we have to get on the actual federal site and see what servicer has, or we'll have to call the number. I'll make sure I have that website in the credits for you and that phone number so you can call. Because what happened after COVID, if you remember, there was a long pause, aka forbearance, on the student loans due to COVID. If you didn't call them, they just automatically put you on it. Well, lo and behold, once everything kicked back up last year and they started sending out collection letters again, everyone was kind of unclear on who had their student loans, because one of the major servicers, Great Lakes, is no longer handling the student loans. And if they are, it may not be the federal ones. I believe and have seen that Nelnet and Molina have stepped in. And I take that back. I want to say not Molina, you guys, but I believe it is Mohila. Let me double check. It's Mohila, and that's Mohela. And you can go to mohila.com if you have any questions concerning your student loans, if you know that your servicer. Chances are, if it's not, and you're here in Omaha, Nebraska, or the surrounding areas, I've seen Nelnet, and the other one I want to say is Aviant. So yeah, double check that with the government. So I'm saying all that, there's been a lot of changes in the last few years due to COVID. Then the new servicers that stepped in, the old servicer, that's large servicer, Great Lakes, that stepped out, and now everything that's going on with the Trump administration. So another thing I tell you guys with regards to debt, you have to know exactly what you owe, how much you owe, figure out what type of annual percentage rates, any type of penalties. Know everything you can about this debt, because this is debt that's being reported on your credit reports. And just because you've been able to get a forbearance due to COVID or due to not finding a job suitable enough to pay back these loans, it does not stop the process. And also, you have to understand, find out what type of forbearance you have. With that being said, the actual forbearance can still accumulate late fees, penalties, interest. And especially if you're dealing with a bank and you just have private personal loans, be sure to do your due diligence, because if you're dealing with like a variable rate, those payments can not only skyrocket, but they can be broken up and sold off into other banks and so much more. And also with a student loan forbearance, they also have a term, a net term. So if you, let's say you become unemployment and you need to stop your student loans, right? Well, let's say you stop them for a year. But then let's say a year or two later, you get sick or something crazy happens, and then you end up having to stop them for another year. Well, cumulatively, if you stop them for 36 months, you can no longer have a forbearance. Now, I do realize they have a lot of other IDRs, which is your income-driven repayment plans out there, but you have to know and understand, what type of payment plan am I on? And if you need help with that, you guys, and you mention KPAO, you've seen me on there and you call, I would be more than happy to give you more details around your options with student loans. If anything, just pull them up and find out what your balance is. And don't tell me you have $200,000 worth of student loans, but you don't know that you have 16 student loans, one for $5,000, one for $20,000, one for XYZ, and then what exactly you paid for. You have to know and understand what these debts are. So if one of those student loans is $5,000 and it's a part of that $200,000 balance, what did you pay with that $2,000? What course was that? What money, where did those monies go to? That's what I'm trying to get folks to understand when it comes to debt relief. We're not just borrowing, blindly borrowing and then blindly, unconsciously paying back. That's why we are missing the nickels, the pennies, the dimes. Those are where our riches are at. But our banks are smart. They take the nickels, the pennies, the dimes, and that's the interest and the late fees, right? And the penalties, and they take that money and they invest it. And they invest that in insurance accounts, and then they get compound interest and so much more, doing what we could be doing with our nickels, our dimes, our pennies. If you pull up those accounts, all of your accounts, and I know I'm talking about student loans, but when we're talking debt relief, you need to really look at the invoices and see what you're paying. Don't push it off to other organizations to do this. We also do that with medical debt. We are assuming that the primary physicians or the dentists or whomever we're with will give you a fair breakdown of everything you were seen for. Well, what I've learned in the collections industry, anytime you're dealing with physicians, especially if they're at a hospital and it doesn't get paid, everything breaks off and has to be paid individually. So if you got an x-ray, you're going to get a bill from the x-ray department, right? If you had to go do something else, you're going to get a bill from that department. So if you don't know and understand what you're being billed when you get that EOB, even if you have Blue Cross Blue Shield, take a look at the estimate of benefits and see exactly what the hospital or the doctor's office negotiated on your behalf to get it paid. So if your visit was $10,000 and there's a breakdown where they said they were only paying $8,000 and that's what they ended up paying in full, but maybe you have a copay for $20, you still need to know and understand what you're paying. Because if you're ever in a position where you have to self-pay, like we have been having to self-pay our student loans, just know and understand what's on the invoice, what's on my credit report. And I just drive it home like that, you guys, because I want it to be a pain point for you when it comes to managing your money. Because I can get on this show and it can air on Mondays and Fridays and you can listen to me until you're blue in the face. But until you pull up your own finances and really start to look at what you're purchasing, I hope, because we know that spend means to throw money away, but you're managing your purchases and you start to see, I have been paying MUD and OPPD every month, and I realized that in the month of November, my OPPD bill is very high. Why is this? You may find out something is going on. Something's been broke. Something got miscalculated. There are so many mistakes and mishandling with companies, sometimes until you, the consumer, reports it, we just go on blindly billing you. And if you go on blindly paying your bill, you will go on mismanaging money that you could be using for investments. You could be using to save. All right? I don't want to get too far on a tangent. So let's talk a little bit about some of your options with student loans. If you're in collections and you have the collectors coming after you with student loans, please know that they can do a lot more than what the average creditor can do. So what does that mean? Let's say you have an unsecured debt with American Express or USAA or First National Bank. Unsecured meaning there's no collateral damage. There's really not too much they can do if you don't have the money, but maybe go to your employer and get a garnishment against you so that they can start collecting 15 to 25% of your biweekly, monthly pay, whatever your pay is. So with your student loans, these loans you cannot file bankruptcy on, and you also cannot just have them written off. They can also take your taxes. They can go a lot further, and they can seize bank accounts and so much more. So it's not anything that you want to play around with. So why would you put yourself in a position to have to go through something like that if you're managing those student loans and find out about these plans? And not just the forgiveness plans, but some of the payback options as well. And also make sure when you're reading through some of the forgiveness plans, I know a lot of times they talk about the public service forgiveness, loan forgiveness, but there is also the borrower's defense. There's another one where the actual school closed. So there's several more out there that can help you. And don't write off some of the nonprofits and different entities that literally work to help our youth and even our adults that are considering going to college or going back to college, and help with a pathway to actually fund that. So whether that be scholarships, or you can go to sites like Schooly. I believe right here in Omaha, Nebraska, we have Advocate. Let me double check, make sure I'm giving you guys the right information. I believe it's Advocate Scholars Program. Okay, it's Advocacy Scholars Program. UNO has there's a scholarship out there called the Promise Scholarship for our youth. You can look into that, and I believe that one helps with low-income families and minorities. Schooly is another website. They get on there and they help. I do believe this one there's a small fee, and it's not local. This is national. But they get out there and they help you find all the scholarships you can apply for. I also have connections with a lot of people who coach and help bring up your children so that they can apply for different scholarships and pass. Now, if you're in lower income areas, you're not necessarily privy to some of the school coaching that is available to help you and your children get scholarships way before it's time to go to college. Like, they will prepare you so that college preparation courses, they're here, they're available, especially if your youth kind of knows what they want to do. You can start even partnering them up with different internships and job shadowing. Shout out to Step Up with the Empowerment Network here in Omaha, Nebraska. If you have yet to look into that for your youth, especially during the summer, it gives them an opportunity to have a job and to be up under for-profit organizations. I'm not certain if they do nonprofit, but I'm sure they do nonprofit as well. And they get to do the job shadowing, and Step Up makes sure they get paid. I believe it's every week, but you'd have to look into it. It's Step Up Omaha. And yeah, if your kid doesn't have anything going on this summer, please look into that. And those are ways that you can connect with the community too, to get next to nonprofits like the Empowerment Network that can also lead and guide you in different directions to help in the area of economics and especially funding for student loans. A lot of good stuff here today, you guys, with student loans. If I can give you any kind of a takeaway, it would be pull your credit reports, see what's being reported on there. Also, go to the student loan website, which I will so kindly pull up before we end today's session, because I want to make sure you have the correct site, because there's so many sites on here now, you guys, where it makes it hard to connect with the correct entities. So when you're pulling stuff online, be sure you're looking at the web address before you click on the hyperlinks. Be certain that you are at studentaid.gov, and that I will make sure that link is posted on the credits for this show. I guess that's about all I really have today. Just know that the court issued an injunction for the that SAVE plan. So if you were on that plan, please be sure to get in touch with your student loan servicer. Just go to studentaid.gov and get a complete understanding of all your student loans, how much you owe and what class it paid for, so on and so forth. If you have questions and I can lead you in the right directions, it's your girl, Nicole Ryan with Lana Solutions, your debt diva. You can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Just look for Lana Solutions, and I'm here, KPO, every Monday and Friday, you guys. That's all I have for you today. Think student loans if you have them, and if they're in collections, make sure you're making phone calls to get that stuff turned around, okay? Bye.